Okay, first up, let's see. Let me change my gallery view here. Bam, first up is Miss D. Miss D, go ahead and unmute. Let's hear it, love.
It will be Psalms 139 and 14. I will praise you, for I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Marvelous are your works, and that my soul knows very well.
Oh my.
That speaks to me.
Woo! And this has been the reading of the word our God. Thank you so much, Miss D. Fearfully and wonderfully made. Oh, you know what? And I love that because many of you, before you step on stage, you will start to create your rituals, things that you need to do to make sure that you're stepping on stage with power. Even though you may have fear, even though you may be scared to take the mic, you understand who's with you. And so that is a powerful scripture to take with you and read before you step on stage. Okay, let's see who's next. Next up, we have Christine. Go ahead, Christine.
Thank you, Coach Queen. My favorite scripture, or the one that speaks to me right now, is John 15:7 and 8. And it says, if you abide in me and my words abide in you, then you shall ask what you will, and it shall be done unto you. And herein is my Father glorified, that you bear much fruit. So shall you be my disciples. And Paul also says, brothers, I wish above all that you prosper, even as your soul prospers.
Oh,
Yeah. Amen.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness. You guys are on fire. Thank you so much for sharing that. And listen, Heidi, forgive me. For some reason, my screen popped over. You were second in the queue. But listen, we got you. The mic is yours. Please take it, my love.
It's all good, no problem. Romans 8:28. And we know all these things, and we know that all things work together for the good to those who love God, to those who are in the called to his according to his purpose. Okay, apparently I should be wearing my glasses.
Absolutely. Yes, all things work for the good of those who believe in God. Oh my goodness. Yes, yes, yes. You guys are on it. Listen, let's go ahead because I want to hit the ground running so that you guys have an opportunity to jump into your breakout rooms. Now, I know that we're going to have more powerhouses jumping in with us as the hour progresses. Usually we average about 20 to 30, sometimes 50 folks on here, which is amazing. But last week, I gave you guys last week off for Mother's Day. Then we had Pentecost coming up. And look at us. We just still celebrating, I guess. All right. But listen, let's go ahead. If you have not done so already, I want you to grab your pen, grab your paper, because I'm just going to give you guys just a few things to think about as you decide to build your own stage. All right. Let me share my screen here. And again, feel free to take screenshots of anything that I put up here. All right. So the first thing I want you to consider when you are crafting your talk, I need for you to write down what problem does my talk solve? I want you to think about three. One, two, three down on your knees moments. I mean, these are moments where you just broke down because we all know that nothing gets wasted. God doesn't waste anything at all. And the things that you went through are things that you can actually turn into something that you can actually be somebody else's guide to help them through their problems. Let me give you an example. I remember when I got pregnant in high school. Oh, down on my knees moment. Pregnant in high school. I remember when I was assaulted in the military, in my barracks. I remember that. I remember when my truck got repossessed. And I remember a lot more as well. But I want you to think about 3 down on your knees moments when you just felt like all was lost, because that may very well be the thing that God is calling you to talk about. So I'm going to give you 1 minute of focus time, of quiet. And I want you to sit and I want you to write down 3 down on your knees moments. Now, listen, loves, really take this time and do it, because if you don't do it now, chances are you're not going to go through these exercises and do it later. Go ahead and seize this moment and do the work, because I want to help you to gain ground on building your own stage. Any questions? If you have a question, go ahead and unmute and ask your question. Any question? I only want you to write down 3. If you got more, write down 10. But 3 down on your knees moments. Any questions? Okay. Your 2 minutes to gather your thoughts and write down 3 down on your knees moments that you experienced. It begins now. Okay, let's keep going. Now that you wrote down at least 3 down on your knees moments, you could take any one of these and you could break it down into a presentation. Because I want you to keep in mind that when you talk, you're not talking just to talk. And it's not about what you want to say, it's about what your people need to hear. And whenever you talk, whenever you present, my loves, your talk is designed to solve a problem. Your talk solves a problem. So what problem does your talk solve? Well, chances are your talk solves one of these problems right here, which leads to number 2. The second thing you're going to write down is, who is your audience? Who are you speaking to? And don't say something like you're speaking to everybody, because there are 9 billion people on this planet. Not all energies mix. You are not for everybody. You are wonderfully and uniquely made. So who are you talking to? It's really important that you get really clear and very specific about who you speak to. Because if I'm talking about being pregnant in high school and how odds are made for beating, for example, then chances are I'm talking to teen mothers. I'm not talking to everybody. So I'm going to give you 2 minutes and I simply want you to write down who you are speaking to. So don't just say, I'm speaking to women. Don't just say, I'm speaking to men, or I'm speaking to women and men. Don't just say, I'm speaking to business owners. I want you to be way more specific than that. I want you to say, I'm speaking to women in their 40s who are empty nesters. I want you to say, I'm speaking to men who were caught at work with drugs and alcohol. I want you to say that I'm speaking to CEOs who lost their business during COVID and maybe had to file bankruptcy. I want you to be very specific about who you help. Any questions before I give you 2 additional minutes? Okay. Your 2 minutes of focus time, it begins now. Okay, 2 minutes is up. Let's keep going. And remember, if you need more time, you can always work on this later on. Now, I want you to think about the platform that is best, the platform that you need to present on. Because remember, it's not about what you feel like. I'm scared to speak live on stage, or I'm scared to use the technology on the computer and present on Zoom. I need for you to dismiss that and think about where your people are. Where are your people hanging out? Because wherever your people are hanging out, that's where you need to go. So what platform do you need to present on? And maybe it's a hybrid, maybe it's a mixture. That's absolutely fine. You may say, my people want communities. And so maybe I'll present to communities, kind of like how I'm doing right now, communities. And you may even break it down to a subscription if you want it to be paid, or it could be a free community. It's completely up to you. That's a whole other conversation. You may say the platform I want to use is JVs. What is a JV? Somebody unmute and tell me what a JV is.
A joint
Joint
venture.
venture.
Thank you. A joint venture, right? You may say a joint venture, meaning, especially if you're new to this and you're like, listen, I don't want to spend a lot of money making mistakes on marketing and things like that. And so this is interesting. There we go. So you may say, well, you know what? I am going to enter into a joint venture. For those of you that are just joining us right now, hey, listen, you missed just about maybe 5 or 10 minutes worth of presentation. No problem. Before you get out of here, I'm going to make sure that you have the YouTube link so that you can go back and you can watch the video replay. But just as a brief recap, we're talking about how you can create your own stage. And the first thing we discussed was, what problem can you solve? Because your presentation solves a problem. And so I gave you guys about 2 minutes and you wrote down 3 down on your knees moments, just the things that you went through that just really broke you down. You wrote those 3 things down because you know that those things that you went through have prepared you to become a survival guide for somebody else. So after you wrote down those 3 things, we talked about how those 3 things can be turned into a talk because your talk solves a problem. After number 1, we went into number 2 and we talked about who is your audience? Who is your talk made for? Who are you made for? Who aligns with you? And you're not just going to say women. You're not just going to say men. You're definitely not just going to say CEOs. You're going to be way more specific than that. So for example, I gave an example here. Instead of just saying women, because there are 9 billion people on the planet, more than half of which are women, you're going to break it down and be specific and say 40 women in their 40s who are empty nesters, or men who are caught at work with drugs and alcohol, or CEOs or small businesses that didn't survive COVID. And so now we are on number 3, the platform that you're going to broadcast from. And there are a few options, and it's based on not how you feel, but based on where your audience is hanging out. And so your audience may be hanging out in communities, and you may decide, you know what? So I am going to present, I'm going to give myself my own shot where nobody else is hiring me right now. I'm going to give myself my own experience. I'm going to pay myself and build my own stage by starting a community, and it can very well be a subscription-based community. You may say, I'm going to do a JV. A JV is a joint venture. When you partner with somebody, there is so much power in collaboration. And this is a really great one for those of you that are not familiar with how to market, how to draw people in. You can absolutely go to sites like LinkedIn and find people out there who complement what you do, not compete, but complement what you do. And then you can say, hey, listen, how about a share for share alliance, which is a joint venture, or it could be a paid joint venture. But that is a way for you to get on stage right now without somebody necessarily having to hire you. So a JV, a joint venture. Now, the next thing you may decide to do as far as your platform, you may say, well, what I'm going to do is I just want to do it digitally. I love digital platforms because when you do things digitally, you're breaking all kind of geographical boundaries. You can talk to people in West Africa, East Africa, in Asia, in Antarctica, wherever, right? And so I love that about speaking digitally. And in addition, when you speak digitally, for those of you that are still getting over the fear of speaking, you have an opportunity to do pre-recorded talks. That means that you will sit at home or in your office, or you'll go on location. Sometimes what I like to do is actually to do a setting in a hotel room, which is really nice. Find you a nice hotel room that has all the beautiful furniture. Sometimes you see the Tony Robbins, they'll do it as well. And you sit there and you have a professional come in, or somebody you have delegated the duty to, like a son or a daughter, and you have them record you, and you just practice and practice 1,000 times until you sound naturally right. And then you can actually monetize those recordings, which is really something. So I want you to think about your audience. Does your audience prefer face-to-face? And if you choose face-to-face, you can very well do a hybrid, meaning that you can broadcast off Zoom or whatever platform you like to use, and you can do face-to-face. So it could be free, or you can sell tickets as well. And it could be a hybrid event, which is amazing. So face-to-face, digitally, you can build communities, you can do joint ventures. A lot of people will do like the Facebook groups. For some reason, in my mind, that means Facebook. They'll do the Facebook groups. I'm not a fan of Facebook groups, and let me tell you why. When you use the Facebook groups, anybody can report you for anything. You can say, Jesus, take the wheel, and somebody can report you. And if they do that, Facebook can put you in Facebook jail. And if you're in Facebook jail, sometimes you don't know how long you're going to be in Facebook jail. That means that if you have marketed that your event is going to be on Facebook group, but for some reason, a month from now, when you're supposed to meet, Facebook has decided to put you in Facebook jail, now you can't meet because the real owner of your platform has shown up and decided that you can't do what it is that you need to do. Another reason why I'm not a fan of the Facebook groups is because when people go on Facebook groups to do things, they get distracted. Oh, easily distracted. They go in and check their messages, or they follow up, they get off the trail and they start watching these other videos. So I want you to be cognizant of that. But Facebook group does have a lot of value. So I don't want to dismiss the value, but I want you to be aware that those things can absolutely happen when you are launching your platforms. You can also use Telegram. I love Telegram. Telegram is a good one, but that's more so for like messaging. And you can also do pre-recorded videos, and you can drop those videos, and you could build a whole entire community on Telegram. Okay. Now, after that, I want you to think of a rehearsal event. A rehearsal event. The first time that your paying audience hears you say something, it shouldn't be the first time that you say it. In other words, I want you to create an event that comes before your main event where you can take your presentation on a test drive. You may decide to do some type of a friends and family type deal. Friends and family. You may say, hey, friends and family, I want you to come to my business shower. It's going to be on Zoom. I'm just going to talk to you for about 30 minutes. And even though you're telling them that they are coming to your business shower, you know that you're really taking your systems and your technology and your talk on a test drive, so that the very next time that you say it, you're way more comfortable saying it. All right. So come up with a rehearsal event. If you decide not to do a friends and family type of a rehearsal event, then let's say that if I decided to do a talk on how to create a presentation, and I decided that building my own stage, I'm going to teach other speakers how to build their 10K talk, right? And I decided in my mind that I'm going to do it at a venue locally here in El Paso, Texas, where I am right now. then what I would more than likely do is I would say, you know what? I'm going to teach these ladies how to do their 10K, how to design their 10K presentation. And this is going to be profitable, especially for those ladies who want to speak at graduations, because it is graduation season and so on and so forth. So let's see. I know that I'm going to have a few topics that I'm going to need. Know yourself and your own energy might be one. Another topic that I'm going to talk about is probably the energy of a presentation, which is really important because some folks get on the mic and they're monotone and you don't get the different inflections. They don't know how to do the stacking techniques. And that brings me to another one, stacking techniques, right? In your talk, stacking techniques. And then I might talk about how to end with a bang, right? End with a bang, because I know that a lot of people get on stage, they do a talk, and after they speak, they end like this. They'll say something like, and in conclusion, I can't stand hearing the in conclusion. And in conclusion, I said that we were going to talk about 4 ways to create your 10K presentation, which was know yourself, the energy you present, stacking technique, and end with a bang. Have a great day. Wah, 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 right? That's ending with fizzle. Why end with fizzle when you can end with that fire, right? So ending with a bang. So what I would do then is, if I know that that's what I'm going to talk about on the main stage, I'm going to find a way to talk about these things on a smaller rehearsal stage. So if I know that I'm going to talk about 5 ways to know yourself, I might put out that, hey, everybody, I'm going to be doing a virtual presentation on 2 ways to know yourself. I'm only going to talk about 2 of the ways in that virtual presentation. And the good news about it is, when I finish talking about those 2 ways in the presentation, then I'm going to say, hey, listen, there are 5 ways to really get to know your authentic self in a world where social media is constantly in our ears and Netflix and people are constantly in our ears. How can you know yourself so that you can build a business that aligns with who you really are instead of building a prison for yourself? If you want to find out, come to my presentation on 2 ways to know yourself. Of course, I'll give it a more scroll stopping title. And if they want to know the other 3 ways, then they got to come to my main 10K presentation. And so that is a way for me to actually sell tickets, whether it's free or paid, to my presentation that's coming up in about, 90 days or something like that, right? Then the same thing with the energy you present. I can talk about that as well. And then I can pitch it. I can pitch this presentation over here at the end of this one. And the same thing with stacking techniques. I can say, listen, do you want to learn 3 techniques that will completely change the game for your presentation? And then I will actually market that, which is perfect practice for me, especially if I'm new to marketing. And then at the end, the offer would be to come to this main event, and so on and so forth. So at the same time that I'm actually taking my future on this test drive, and by using the virtual modalities, I'm also pitching an offer to come to this event right here, which is my main event, which is the stage that I am building. And now I am selling tickets to this, or I'm giving away free tickets. Now, let me say, loves, if you are new to speaking, if you're new and your email list is less than 5,000 people, you have less than 5,000 people that you can contact and invite to your different events, then I recommend that these events here be free. Because when you're in this knowledge-based business, loves, one of the most powerful, valuable things that you could possibly possess is an email list. 2 years ago, I went to Cabo, Mexico. Oh, I loved it. I love Cabo. If you have an opportunity to go to Cabo, go to Cabo. And I did not want to touch my savings. I didn't want to touch my business account. I just simply said, you know what? I know that there's a pain. I can be of service to some women. There's a pain that I can solve. And so what I decided to do was I launched a niche boot camp And then for that niche boot camp, I sold it to my email list for $97 early bird. And then it was $197 after the early bird. And when I promoted that to my email list, I had enough money to go to Cabo 3 or 4 times. All right. The email list is gold. Oh my goodness. So my point, loves, is that in the beginning, it's more important that you build your email list than for you to sell tickets. Because if no one has ever heard of you before and I come across your name, and keep in mind that everybody is selling everybody. I mean, people are being sold to all day. And you have a good product, but you say that your tickets are $47 or even $17. Chances are I'm not going to opt in because I may not want to pay the $17, especially if you haven't mastered the language to get people to want to buy into you right away. That's a whole other class. Okay, so you want to know that these people out there who are looking at your material are interested. I recommend having a free entry for them. And this could be your free entry. Once they enter and they get to know you and you have their email address, you have their name and quite possibly their phone number, then you can take them to the next level of selling. Now, some of you may be thinking, you know what? I don't know how to sell. That's a whole other class, but don't think about that right now. Because one, you're not selling, you're providing a service. And if you don't sell them or if you don't serve them, you cannot help them. If they do not invest, if they don't put any skin in the game, my loves, then what you say, chances are will go in one ear and not the other. And we want to prevent that. Okay. That's the first thing I want to say. The next thing I want to say is, while I'm thinking about it, yes. Pro tip, and this is going to help you for those of you that are building your stages. Raise your hand if you have Canva. Who has Canva? Canva, good. Everybody should have Canva. If you don't have Canva, go to canva.com. They have a free access and they also have paid access. The paid access has way more. So canva.com, that's a V. Canva.com. Now with canva.com, you can go in and you can create workbooks and you can create templates. One of the things I recommend is that when you decide to launch your own stage is that you create a workbook or a template. That workbook is great for them because you want them to be engaged and it will actually bring value to your presentation, but it's perfect for you because when you go through the process of creating your workbook, it's going to help you to think about what it is that you need to share. I mean, strategically, so that your audience is getting value. In addition, if you're one of those ones that fears that you're going to lose your place when you are speaking, that workbook is going to have your back. It will be your guide. So come up with a workbook, and it is great, especially when you have 3-day workshops. If you're doing it virtual, oh my goodness, workbooks are a lifesaver. I like workbooks because I spend all day absorbing. I'm on mountains meditating. I'm surrounded by wise counsel. Miss D, Heidi, I think we talked about this the other day. We don't even, if I look at a movie, like I still haven't watched Color Purple, the new Color Purple. I saw the old one, you know, with Miss Seeley and everybody, and I'm sure they're in the new one, but I haven't seen it. I don't watch a lot of TV, but if I know that my ideal audience, if I know that all of you are watching it, I'll make myself watch it. And I need to absorb that content. So my point is that I have so much content in me that I will go all the way around the world. And I know that I will fire hose you. And so the workbook locks me in so that I can keep it laser focused versus fire hosing you. So if you fit that category where you know that you got a lot to give and you fire hose people, workbooks works for that as well. All right. So Canva. All right. So now you have your stage. The next thing I want you to do, because now you have the basics, loves. You got the basics. You know the problem that your platform solves, that your talk solves. You know who you're speaking to. With that said, I want you to go ahead and get your marketing launched. Listen, done is better than perfect. How many of you are perfectionists like me? Like, you got to make sure all the I's are dotted, T's are crossed. Christine, come on now. Yes, we're perfectionists, right? And so I need for you to just say it with me. Done is better than perfect. Let me stop this screen share so I can actually see you. Say it with me. Done is better than perfect. One more time. Done is better than perfect. Done is better than perfect. Absolutely. I need for you to get your message out. I need for you to get it out, loves. Done is better than perfect. And so what I need for you to do is go ahead and get your marketing out. Give yourself maybe 2 weeks tops to work on your marketing. If it's been on your plate for longer than 10 days, it does not belong to you. If it's been on your plate for 10 days, it does not belong to you. If you've been saying for the last 2 months that you're going to launch this event, it doesn't belong to you. That means you got to find a who. Who is going to help you? And you can go to sites like Upwork.com. You can go to sites like Fiverr.com and say, listen, I need for you to create me this banner. On the banner, I just want you to put the problem that you're solving. Like, are you a teenager and you got pregnant and you're struggling to figure out how you're going to get your high school diploma? You need to be here. Put that on your banner. Of course, clean that up, but something along those lines. Put the problem on your banner. Make sure, again, you put the problem that you solve on your banner. People will pay not to be in pain long before they pay for pleasure. I say it again. People will pay not to be in pain long before they pay for pleasure. People will purchase Tylenol long before they purchase vitamins. And when you express very briefly the problem that you're solving with your talk, people will opt in because they understand that you're speaking their language. I don't know if you remember Abraham Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And basically it said if people don't feel safe, they're not thinking about food. If they don't have food, they're not thinking about shelter. If they don't have shelter, they're not thinking about vacations. So my point is that if people don't have that safety and security that they want, and you come on with your banner saying, hey, do you want to travel the world and make $300,000 a year? Yeah, they want that. But they ain't thinking about that right now. Right now, they're thinking about these problems that they got. So right now, I need for you to express the problem on your banner. Are you struggling with? Are you tired of? That type of language on your banner. You is a very powerful word in marketing. Are you, not y'all, and don't say, are you, attention all women, come to this. Don't say that. Are you? So that it feels like you are specifically speaking to them. Okay. Now, so once you got all this good information over here, I want you to go ahead and put your marketing out. You're going to say, well, Queen, I don't even understand what my presentation is going to be about. We don't need for you to know what your presentation is about in order for you to put your marketing out. I need for you to put your marketing out, and a good place to put it out on is Eventbrite. I know a lot of you found me on Eventbrite, Facebook, Instagram, places like that. But Eventbrite is a really great place to put it out. You can take that banner, slap it right there. And then a good thing about Eventbrite has a free access, and they also have a paid access. The reason why I keep emphasizing free and paid is because I don't want the fact that some of you may be saying, well, listen, my pockets are hurting right now, to be a barrier. Because if you already have Canva, if you got canva.com, and I already said there's a free access, and you have eventbrite.com, and I already said there's free access as well, there is no reason why you can't start working to market and build your stage right now. No excuses. An excuse is just an inability to perform. An excuse is an inability to perform. There is no reason why you can't get this out. All right, so far, I haven't asked you for any money in order to build your stage. So far, no investment except for a time and thought investment. Okay, let's keep going. So you're going to market. I need for you to create your marketing. And your marketing should go out 30 to 60 days before your event. Now, even though you're going to put your marketing out 30 to 60 days before your event, let me tell you this. Most people will not sign up for your event until that last week, like 7 days prior, especially like 1 or 2 days prior. That is when you're going to get a lot of registrants. But the reason why I'm having you put it out 30 to 60 days prior is so that you can set it and forget it. And with sites like Eventbrite, every time somebody registers for your event, they will send you a notification. They'll send it straight to your email. And the only thing you have to then do is build an Excel worksheet. If I'm speaking fast for you, don't worry. You can always go in and watch the video replay. And again, you can always screenshot whatever you see here on your screen. Okay. So while your marketing is out working for you, one of the things I want you to do is I want you to go and I want you to contact concierge at different venues. If you know that your event is going to be digital, which is a good move, then you know it's probably going to be on Zoom. And if it's on Zoom, just make sure you upgrade to the paid account, not the free account. Now that's when the investment is going to kick in. Some of you already have a paid account with Zoom. But if you are rocking the free account with Zoom, then you only get 40 minutes and then Zoom will hang up on you. And you don't want to do that to your people. All right, so go ahead and invest in the paid account. Now, if you already have a paid account with Zoom, then you're good to go. You keep on going. And you don't even have to build a website. Notice I didn't even say anything about a website. If you are going to be holding your event on Zoom, Zoom has a registration page. You can go in and you can actually YouTube how to set that up. A registration page. You can add in your logo. You can put in a banner, all that good stuff. And Zoom will actually hold all of your registrants on the CSV sheet, on a roll sheet. And you can actually press one button and just send everybody their reminders from Zoom. Again, you can YouTube how to do that. It's really easy to do, where your people can actually register on Zoom for your events without you going and spending a lot of money and a lot of time on building a landing page. You absolutely can build a landing page. You can. It's not a bad idea to build a landing page. But again, I'm trying to get you guys in it. Let's go ahead and get this stage built because there are people out there that need you now. Now, if you're on Zoom, on marketing, you're just going to put that once they register, then you will email them the Zoom link. It's going to be live on Zoom. And you're going to email them the link. Okay, so we got your marketing, we got your venue. Now, while all of that is working behind the scenes, the next thing you're going to do is you're going to work on your presentation. And hold that thought. Let me go back to venue. With your venue, love, instead of using your lunch break like everybody else uses their lunch break, I want you to contact your concierge at a few different venues like hotels, restaurants that has conference holding areas, and just say, hey, listen, I love to come and speak with your concierge on Wednesday about quite possibly holding an event. I did an event at Applebee's, was it like 3 months ago? Applebee's, one of the Applebee's here in El Paso, I didn't even know it had a party room. And I went in and I did a Proverbs 31 talk there. And it was a huge room and it was nothing extra. The people just had to pay for their food. You absolutely can do that. Okay, so check out the restaurants as well, hotels, so on and so forth. Hotels a little bit more costly. If you decide to build your own stage at a hotel, let me just help you to be aware of some of the costs. You will have to pay for the venue, for the room, of course. And then you have to decide if you want food. If you don't have a lot of money to invest in your event, tea and coffee is good enough. Tea and coffee, especially if your event is only like 2 hours long. You don't want to feed them a full course meal because they'll fall asleep during your presentation. They'll catch the itis. So tea and coffee. And then be prepared that the technology, there's usually an extra fee for the technology, and they break it down. If you want a stage, if you want a microphone, If you want the projector, all of that costs extra. All right. So be prepared to spend about $2,000 on a venue, minimum, depending on the size, minimum $2,000 on a venue if it's at a hotel. All right. And they also have little boardrooms that you can rent. Let's say you decide you want to do a mastermind. Maybe you say that my platform is a mastermind. If it is a mastermind and you know you only want like 10 folks there, you can very well get a boardroom, or you can also rent out one of those intelligent spaces, a smart office. Those are really nice. You can look up intelligent spaces and smart office. There's like they're like shared offices is what they are. And it may cost you like $97 a month for a shared office. In some places, like $97 a month, you can get you could get a mailbox, you can get a mailing address, you get a break room, you get a secretary, it's really nice. So look it up if you're really looking to really step your business up a notch. Okay, the presentation. Now, behind the scenes, you're going to be working on your presentation because everything else is set. But with your presentation, the things I want you to really work on every day is your introduction. And I want you to work on your pitch. The rest of the things, of course, you're going to practice everything else. But your introduction, when you first come on and you're introducing yourself, hopefully with your presentation, as you're building your own stage, hopefully you get somebody to edify you, to introduce you, which is powerful. Or you can create a video. Like a lot of you used to watch the video when you come in. That's so I don't always have to come in and talk about myself. So you can have somebody else edify you, or you can have a video. And in that video, you're either talking about yourself or there's a voiceover and somebody is just narrating your life and how you came to be. You can do that. And then your pitch. If folks are coming to your event, they want to know what's next. And so you need to have that what's next for them. Your pitch is what's next. Your pitch is more than likely going to be that you are a life coach. And if you don't like the word life coach, then you can a mentor, a strategist, a teacher, a guru, whatever word aligns best with you. Pastor, minister, whatever aligns best with you, you use that word. Either way it goes, you're still a life coach because you're somebody. A life coach is somebody who pushes other people to be better than where they currently are. And so I want you to keep that in mind as well. All right, so I'm going to stop here for a second and ask, are there any questions? Any questions? Did I fire hose you? I did? Go ahead, Christine. What you got, my love?
Thank you so much for this timely information, Coach Queen. I just put out my event on Eventbrite and I'm just walking the waters, but I didn't understand what you meant by the stacking techniques. If you would kindly elaborate so I can implement that as well.
So the stacking techniques, when you present, there are different techniques that you use, such as the pregnant pause. That's one. Another one that you use is the rate of your speech. Okay. So you have a body sport when you're speaking. So for example, if I say that I was confused, if I say, listen, when I was a teenager and I had a speech impediment, I was confused. I didn't know which way was up or which way was down. You see how I looked down on up and I looked up on down? So that's body sport. So there are different techniques that you can use when you're presenting, because one of the problems, one of the challenges that most speakers have, especially when they first start speaking, they want to know, how do I influence and impact the audience? How do I move them? How do I connect with them? And all of that takes strategy. And so when you are using strategy, you have to use your pregnant pauses. You have to know when to speak low and when to project your voice, when it's okay to speak really, really fast, and when it is time to speak slow, when you're going to use your DJ voice and say hello and welcome everybody, and when you're going to get churchy and say, listen, I am so tired of you guys coming here and blah, 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 right? And so all of that is your stacking techniques. So when you write your presentation, I'll give you this, and I'm going to send you guys into your breakout room. When you write your presentation, make sure that you create a legend. I mean, really write out every word. Write it out and just do a vomit. And you don't care if it makes sense, just vomit it on a piece of paper. And when you do it, sit back and look at it and say, that's fluff. I don't need to say that. I already said that. Take out the fluff. And then what you have left, I want you to make notations all over your presentation. And you can create your own legend. If it is a word that you know you need to hit really hard, you may bold that word or highlight it. You come up with your own legend. If you know that you need them to really pay attention to what you're about to say, then you may insert an icon or whatever it is you create for a pregnant pause that makes them sit on the edge of their seats. So if I say something along the lines of, there are 3 secrets to creating your 10K presentation. The first is, you want to see how everybody started looking at me there? So you want to insert those pregnant pauses. And that's really important for engagement. But you also, after you write your speech out in its entirety and you practice it 1,000 times until it sounds naturally right, then I want you to abandon that piece of paper and not lock yourself into a box. Because there will be times when you're speaking and you need to look at your audience. And there will be times where, because you're always competing with this, like even right now, I'm competing with this with some people, right? You're competing with the phones and Facebook and all this other stuff. And there will be times where you will need to intentionally insert a pregnant pause or to make your voice go softer. Because when you start speaking softer like this, people sit up because they can barely hear you and you get their attention. So your stacking techniques we need to do a class on stacking techniques, I know. But there's a lot with that. Does that help you, love? Okay, great. You look like you're ready to present now in that red.
Thank you so much. It helped a lot.
I love that. All right, come on, Heidi, what you got?
So, when you were going through the initial thing and you said about you are solving the problem, and you said about that you solving the problem for pregnant teens.
Mm-hmm.
So, I was a pregnant young airman, and so who was your target audience for that type of a problem that you're solving?
So for you or for me?
For what you think? What would you think would be the target audience?
Great question. I love this question. So once you write down the problem that you solve and you go down to number 2, the audience that you're solving it for, I want you to use yourself as the client avatar. Remember how I said nothing gets wasted? And so there's a reason why you went through the things that you went through. And I need for you to think about who you were when you went through those problems. Whoever you were when you went through those problems, those down on your knees moment, that is more than likely the person that you're talking to. So in my case, when I was this pregnant teenager in high school, chances are if I wanted to be really, really laser specific, then I could say I'm speaking to African American teenagers in their teens, 17 years old, living in Atlanta, Georgia. And I can absolutely rock a talk because in that area to those folks, because I've been through that. The experience qualified me. So think about who you were when you were down on your knees. You may not be that person today, but go back. If you got to look at your journals, go back and look at your journals, or sit and just meditate and ground yourself and do your best to remember who that person was. Chances are that is who you're speaking to. Does that help you, love? Any follow-up questions?
Yeah, that helps. I was just confused because I was like, okay, I've obviously moved on beyond that point. So I'm like, okay, do I talk to the mom that is now been through that struggle of having been a young airman mom, whatever, something or another, or do I talk to those young military people that are struggling with maybe being the single expecting or whatever, you know? So,
Both. And both. You absolutely can talk to both. You can talk to them separately or you can talk to them together. You absolutely can.
okay.
Because I was a single mother, because I can even expand that. Because I was a single mother and the father of my son, great man now, but neither one of us was in the right headspace back then, right? But he wasn't a great father by far. So I did everything on my own. We were still young. We were kids and we laugh about it to this day. But here is the deal. I can absolutely take my experience and expand that into how to be a long distance dad. I can absolutely do that. And so it's kind of like when they say, when life throws you lemons, make lemonade. Don't just make lemonade, make lemon pie and lemon cookies and lemon cake and lemon whatever it is. You can actually repurpose that experience into so many different people. But what I want you to do is focus on one first because we only have so much energy. So don't go and try to create 9,000 talks right now. I want you to become an expert, a master at one, and then focus on that one. And then after that, then expand to the next one. All right? But just one. All right, my love. Any other questions before I send you into your breakout room? Any questions?
I think it was a question in the chat, Coach
Okay,
Queen.
let's see.
It said, "How can I apply this physical to a physical product
Oh, I love this. Should I do events catered to showing
to show and
demos?
demos?"
Oh,
Okay,
I love this. Yes, who asked that question? Uh Lona. Hope forgive
Luna.
Lona. Forgive me if I
I
didn't.
did.
Is it Lona? How do I say your name, love?
Luna.
Luna. I love that, Luna. Okay, listen, I love this. So, how can I apply this to a physical product? Oh, it's so many different ways to take lemons and make lemonades and lemon pie and lemon. So, one of the things that I believe that in order to make six figures, you can take these physical products, even if you provide a service like photography or marketing, you can take these things, and if you combine that with a great presentation, oh my goodness, you can reach six figures in a year. Selling products is great, selling services is great. But to step on stage and get paid 5K to speak for 45 minutes, it is amazing, right? So think about that. Now, how do you do that? You can do that by sharing your story. There's a reason why you are selling the physical products that you are selling. So you can turn that into a talk. You can actually turn it into a talk about how to help other people to do what you're doing as far as physical products, because there are different type of talks out there. You have transformational speakers, you have motivational speakers, you have instructional speakers. There are all kind of speakers out there. So it is up to you to sit and say, as far as my product, so like for example, if I had a physical product that was like a fashion, if I was selling like clothes, then I can do a talk on branding. I can notice that I could say, you know what? For some reason, the women who come to me in my fashion store, I notice that a lot of them, they keep saying they don't know how to dress their body. They say they're just too curvaceous and they don't know how to make it look this way. They don't know how to be faith-driven women and show up with confidence in their clothes. And I can absolutely give a talk on that. And so I would extract the problem that my audience, that my clientele is bringing to me, and I would turn it into a talk. What are you events catered to showing demos? Tell me a little bit about your product, Luna.
So I feel like my problem would be struggling college students because when you go to school, you're trying to hustle and make money and find new income. And so my idea of having income was creating my own lip glosses in my dorm room. So ever since I was able to sell during the pandemic, but after the pandemic, I didn't really get as much support. So I haven't really been active. So now I'm just trying to figure out a way to rebrand it and cater and add new products like trucker hats, but have it all be faith-based, since
Yes.
I feel like that's missing in the beauty industry.
I love it. Oh my goodness. You know what? I would encourage you to connect with Miss D because Miss D is our financial guru on this platform. And even a JV with her would just take things to the next level. I don't know if she has in her schedule. She's always so busy. But Miss D, if you would send your information to Luna. But yeah, you absolutely, there are a lot
Okay.
of students who are struggling in school, eating oodles of noodles and making that sacrifice. You absolutely could turn that into a talk and show them how they can monetize, how they can make money while they're in school without having to survive on oodles and noodles and without their grades having to suffer. You absolutely can do that. I love it. Yeah. So listen, this is what I'm going to do because it sounds to me like this is a great time for you guys to get in there and do some masterminding and to just kind of, iron sharpens iron and to feed each other. I'm gonna go ahead and open up the breakout rooms now. Let's see if I can get to it. Breakout. Listen, go ahead and grab your social media handles, grab your Calendly scheduling links so we can get you into your breakout rooms. And when you get in there, if you find somebody in there that you want to connect with, please, share your information. Now you're gonna self-select the room that you go in. You're gonna choose the room based on the topic. Let me stop this recording.